Hi everyone, I'm Audrey. Today I'm going to tell you a thrilling story that I guarantee will keep you on the edge of your seat. So, grab some snacks and let's begin. I grew up in Ridgemont, Ohio in a house that seemed normal from the outside. But inside, the differences between my sister Paige and me were like night and day. When Paige turned 16, it was a huge deal. There was a massive party in our backyard with 25 people, streamers everywhere, and a gorgeous 3-tier cake from the real bakery on Main Street. Not that grocery store stuff. And right there in the driveway, under a giant red bough, was a brand new white Honda Civic. Paige was over the moon, screaming so loud that the neighbor's dog started barking. Mom was filming the whole thing for Facebook, proud as can be. Contrast that with my 16th birthday. I came downstairs, and there was just an envelope leaning against the fruit bowl on the kitchen counter. Inside was a Metro Valley 30-day bus pass and a card that said happy birthday in gold foil. Mom just said, "This is practical. You'll thank us later," without even looking up from her coffee. Dad had already left for work. I took the envelope upstairs, sat on my bed, and stared at that bus pass for what felt like forever. That night, I cried in the bathroom with the faucet running so no one could hear. It wasn't just about the bus pass, it was the way Mom handed it to me, like it was the most obvious thing in the world, like I wasn't the kind of daughter who deserved a real celebration. This pattern of unequal treatment didn't stop there. Paige got a new iPhone every fall because she needed it for the cheerleading group chat. Meanwhile, I was stuck with Mom's old phone, the screen all cracked and the battery dying by 2 p.m. Paige got new cleats for every season, but I had to wear the same sneakers until the sole peeled off. And her room? It got repainted every 2 years, with new curtains and a fancy desk from Pottery Barn Teen. My room, on the other hand, still had the sky blue walls from when I was 12 and a particle board bookshelf that Dad assembled wrong, so it leaned to the left. I tried not to keep score at first. I mean, kids assume their parents have reasons for these things. But as I got older, the reasons just didn't add up. The week before junior year, I found a receipt in the trash. It was for $800 for Paige's new cheerleading uniform, warm-ups, and travel bag. That same week, I asked Mom for $60 for an AP biology textbook that the school didn't cover. She made a face and said the budget was tight and that I should find it used online. I did find it used for $18 with shipping included, but the cover was bent at the corner. I highlighted every page of that book and ended up getting a 5 on the AP exam. Paige, on the other hand, wore those warm-ups once and then left them in her locker for 3 months. I started working at Millstone Coffee 3 weeks after Paige's 16th birthday party. I had these early morning 5:30 a.m. shifts, Tuesday through Saturday before school. Mer Delaney, the ex-military owner, was a no-nonsense guy. He taught me everything from pulling espresso shots to restocking inventory and closing the register to the penny. By the second month, he trusted me to open the place alone. I saved every single penny. Tips went into a mason jar and paychecks went into a savings account that Grandma Ruth helped me set up. Over the next 2 years, I put away $3,000 to $100. All that money earned while my sister slept in until 7:30 and drove to school in her Honda. When I got accepted to Westfield College, I knew I had a problem. It was a small liberal arts school with a great accounting program. But it was 40 minutes away by car and there was no public bus route. I sat down with Mom and Dad, all prepared with a plan. Numbers written out on index cards like I was presenting to a bank. I told them I'd saved $3,000 to $100 and that a used Corolla would cost around from -$5,000. I just needed their help with the difference. But Mom cut me off before Dad could even say anything. She said they couldn't afford it right now because of Paige's cheer nationals coming up. I tried to reason with her, saying I didn't need the whole amount, just the gap. But she just said, "You've been doing fine with the bus." I told her there was no bus to Westfield and she just said, "Then figure it out." That's what adults do. That night, I found the family iPad in the bathroom still unlocked. The browser was open to a car leasing website, and Mom had been looking at 2 sedans, both newer than Paige's Honda. The search history showed she'd been browsing for 20 minutes. Not for me, for Paige. For when Paige would eventually need an upgrade for college. I just stared at myself in the mirror, toothbrush in my mouth, feeling ridiculous and worse than that. It was like I finally realized that I should stop being surprised by how my parents treated me and start being surprised that I was still hoping for something different. Then, I got an internship offer from Wallace & Pratt, a small accounting firm 35 minutes from Ridgemont. It was a summer position, paid. The kind of thing that could really open doors for a kid from a town like mine. But there was a huge problem. There was no bus, no carpool, and no way to get there without a vehicle. I did the math on a napkin during my break at Millstone. Uber round trip, 5 days a week for 10 weeks, would cost roughly $1,800. That was more than half of my savings. money I needed for textbooks, dorm supplies, and first semester fees. It would completely gut everything I'd built up. I tried one more time at Sunday dinner. I waited until everyone was calm, and then I said the internship started June 5th and that if I could use the van 3 days a week, I could make it work. Dad started nodding. I could see he was about to say yes. But then Mom said, if we buy you a car, Paige will think it's unfair. The table went quiet. I wanted to scream at her to say that Paige already had a car, that she drove to the mall for smoothies on Tuesdays. But I knew that logic didn't work in our house. So I left the table, washed my dishes, and went to my room. I called Grandma Ruth. I didn't call her to ask for money. I called her because she was the only one who never made me feel like I was asking for too much. I told her about the internship, about the math, about the van. She listened without interrupting once. Then she was quiet for a long time. She said, your birthday is in 6 weeks. Just hold on. After that phone call, Grandma Ruth started acting differently. She called me mid-week, which was unusual for her. She asked me if I liked SUVs or sedans. I laughed and asked if she was buying a car. She just said she was curious. A week later, she called again and asked if I really had my driver's license. I told her she'd already asked me that. She said she was 71 and allowed to ask twice. Then, I went to visit her on a Saturday. I heard her on the phone through the screen door. She was talking to Uncle Glenn and I caught the words paperwork's almost done. Wednesday delivery. She hung up fast when she saw me and said Glenn was helping a friend with a truck situation. I didn't push it because Grandma had a rule, never ask about a gift before your birthday. But I did notice a sheet of paper on her dining table with a Toyota dealership logo across the top, half covered by a library book. As my 18th birthday got closer, I could feel something was up. Mom didn't seem to be planning anything for my birthday. No lists on the fridge, no party, supply bags on the counter. I thought about Paige's 16th, how Mom had started planning 3 weeks in advance. Making a shared Google Doc with Dad, ordering custom napkins. For my birthday, she just said we'd have a family dinner on Saturday night. Translation, whatever Mom felt like cooking, a grocery store cake, and a $50 card that Dad would sign in the car on the way home from work. But then, on my 18th birthday, something amazing happened. I woke up and the house was quiet. Dad gave me a $50 card and said Mom had dinner covered. Mom said happy birthday in a way that made it clear she didn't really care. Paige gave me a quick hug and then left in her Honda. That evening, Grandma Ruth showed up at our house with Uncle Glenn, Aunt Brenda, her husband Tom, and Mrs. Whitfield from next door. Mom was shocked. During dinner, Aunt Brenda asked what I got for my birthday. Mom tried to say I was low maintenance and didn't need big gifts. But then I said I just wanted to be treated the same. Grandma Ruth then stood up and led me outside. A tow truck pulled into the driveway, and on the flatbed was a brand new nautical blue Toyota 4Runner. The driver handed me the keys and said it was mine. Mom was so shocked that her coffee cup dropped and broke. Dad laughed and Paige just stared. Grandma Ruth told Mom that since I was 18, the title was in my name and there was nothing she could do about it. Mom tried to say Grandma was overstepping, but Dad finally stood up for me and said Grandma was right. The next day, Mom tried to talk to me about the car. She said Grandma was trying to make her look bad. I told her that Grandma was just doing what she should have done a long time ago. Mom started to cry and I told her I loved her, but I was keeping the car. Dad later came to me in the garage. He admitted he should have said something earlier. He said he was afraid, but I told him being quiet wasn't the same as being neutral. He'd been picking Mom's side every time. He finally agreed with me. Paige also came to talk to me. She said she didn't realize how bad things were. She even asked me to teach her how to budget. I could see that she was starting to understand. News of the car spread all over Ridgemont. People at Millstone in the prayer group and on Facebook were all talking about it. Mom started getting messages, but she didn't answer. Mom started therapy in October. Dad became more involved in my life. He started texting me, coming to Millstone to watch me work and leaving big tips. Paige started riding the Route 7 bus to school on Tuesdays and Thursdays on her own accord. She said she wanted to see what it was like. I finished my internship at Wallace & Pratt, and Ms. Garner wrote me a great recommendation letter. Now, I drive to Westfield College every day. I talk to my parents every other week. If Mom tries to compare me to Paige or minimize my feelings, I hang up and we start over the next week. Paige texts me almost every day, and every Sunday, I visit Grandma Ruth. The bus pass is still in my desk drawer at the dorm. It's a reminder of where I came from, but the 4Runner is a symbol of hope and that someone believed in me. I've learned that just because I was strong enough to deal with the unfairness doesn't mean I didn't deserve better. And I'm so grateful to Grandma Ruth for showing me that I was worth it all along. So, that's my extended story. If you've got a similar story, share it in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe for more amazing stories like this one.